Have you ever wondered about the authenticity of your food? Is your champagne actually from Champagne, France? Is your honey actually 100% honey or mixed with corn syrup? And is your wild shrimp actually wild or is it farmed? It may not surprise you to learn that many foods are mislabeled. Come make risotto with me with two of the most commonly mislabeled foods, Parmesan and olive oil, and talk more about it. If you learned something new, please like and subscribe. Risotto is a unique way of cooking rice that is born out of Italian cooking traditions. Risotto uses a short grain, high starch rice, something like Arborio, and the gradual addition of liquid, usually a broth, to create a creamy and rich texture. Italians have probably been cooking rice as early as the 8th century, but the dish that put risotto on the map was risotto alla Milanese. The story goes that a glazier working on the stained glass windows of the Milan Cathedral, or Duomo, added the saffron that was used to color the glass into the rice at a wedding. The classic dish was born and had become an icon of Milanese cuisine by the 17th century. Later on, chefs began to experiment with risottos by adding all different types of ingredients. Risotto is a really versatile base that works well with many different flavors. The one I'm making today includes crispy mushrooms and fresh thyme, which help create some textural contrasts to the rice. This can be served on its own or with some protein like steak or scallops. Two key ingredients in risotto are olive oil and Parmesan. They are also two of the most frequently mislabeled and fraudulently sold goods. Before we dive into the details of these two types of food, let's learn more about what kinds of food are the most susceptible to this issue. First and foremost, the food needs to be expensive. The most basic aspect of fraudulent labeling is replacing a high-cost ingredient with a lower-cost ingredient, but then selling it at the price of the original high-cost ingredient. So you need a premium good that consumers are willing to pay more for, and that is key to creating this profit differential. Fraud also increases when it's difficult for consumers to tell what they think they are buying and what they are actually buying. This is the case when a high-quality product and a low-quality product look very similar, and consumers may not be familiar enough with the taste of the high-quality product to tell the difference. For example, corn syrup can be dyed and treated with artificial flavors to look and taste quite similar to maple syrup. For most people who have not tasted pure maple syrup distilled from Canadian maple trees, it can be hard to tell that the syrup they are using is not the real deal. Foods that go through processing are more susceptible as well. So steak is harder to sell fraudulently compared to ground meat. Everyone knows what steak looks like, but it's harder to verify whether your ground beef is really beef. The third aspect is regulation and resources dedicated to verifying the authenticity of the product. Certain foods are strictly defined, and there is very little ambiguity to what it is or what it's not. It makes it harder for producers to cut corners or source cheaper ingredients as a replacement. Enforcement matters here too. How likely is a forger to be caught, and how strict are the punishments if they are caught? Champagne, which I brought up earlier in the introduction, is actually very rigorously protected. Champagne is clearly defined as a product from a specific region with a legally controlled production method. The product is sold in specialized glass with serial numbers and secure packaging that is difficult to tamper with. Champagne is also almost always bottled at origin and requires clear export documentation to verify its authenticity. And enforcement of these requirements are very strict. There are numerous high-profile legal cases against those that have misused the label. All of this makes it very difficult for forgers to pass their goods off as authentic products, and also increases the risks of trying to do so. But for many other foods, this level of oversight is just not realistic. Let's talk about extra virgin olive oil. EVOO is specifically oil made from olives through cold extraction, which means temperatures have to stay below 80 degrees Fahrenheit. This method is used because heat damages the flavor and nutrients. In this process, olives are washed crushed into paste, and then pressed or put through a centrifuge to separate the oil. Essentially, it's olive juice. The olives themselves must be fresh and healthy, and also processed within hours of being picked, since the quality deteriorates very quickly. EVOO oxidizes over time and rarely lasts for more than 1 to 2 years. But through this process, you get a flavorful oil that is rich in nutrients, including antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. It's also really versatile and can be used for both hot methods and cold cooking, such as salad dressings and to finish dishes. Although standards for high-quality EVO exist, practically they're very difficult to enforce. Unlike with champagne, high-quality olive oil can be produced in many regions around the world, from Greece to Tunisia to California. In fact, this is one of the best qualities about olive oil, is that its flavor changes depending on the region and the producer. But at the same time, this increases the complexity for ensuring quality standards. Different areas use different olives, which have different natural compounds. EVOO can also be mixed with lower quality olive oils or other seed oils, which can be altered to have similar chemical compositions. Methods to test this oil, such as gas chromatography and isotope analysis, are expensive and can be inconclusive. Multiple tests are typically required to prove authenticity, which increases the complexity and the costs of testing. The mass market nature of olive oil compared to a relatively small volume product like champagne makes rigorous enforcement nearly impossible. So what about Parmesan cheese? Well, in many ways, Parmesan cheese is more similar to champagne. Parmigiano Reggiano is made only in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy and has protected designation of origin status. It is a strict process for production that can only use raw cow's milk, rennet, which is an enzyme used to coagulate milk, which separates the curds from the whey, salt, and natural whey cultures. The milk is cooked gently in copper vats, which creates the granular texture. Parmigiano Reggiano also has a long aging process, 12 months at minimum, but often up to 24 or 30 months, or even 40 months for special wheels. The resulting cheese is really special. It develops complex flavors like nuttiness and umami, and concentrates nutrients and has a very long shelf life. So then why is Parmesan cheese so often mislabeled? This comes down to differences in regulation across parts of the world. In the EU, Parmigiano Reggiano is a legally protected name with strict standards. There, the cheese is printed with certification stamps that serve as legal authenticity. It includes details such as the time of production and aging length. But in many other places around the world, including the United States, Parmesan is a general style of cheese without set standards for production. In these places, Parmesan can use different milk, have shorter aging periods, and contain preservatives or fillers to create a cheaper product. So while authentic Parmigiano Reggiano can cost around $30 per pound, lower quality Parmesan cheese can be much, much cheaper. Both EVOO and Parmesan have qualities in common. The demand for them is high. They are both culturally iconic foods and people trust the name, but typically understand very little about the quality. Olive oils and cheese are also more premium products with limited authentic supply. All of this creates opportunity and an incentive to lower the cost of production while targeting a lucrative market. Food for thought. There is not always a need to buy the most expensive and authentic products on the market. Many sparkling wines are great with the charcuterie board, even if it's not champagne. And anything sugary tastes delicious on pancakes on Sunday morning, even if it's not 100% pure maple syrup. We can simply enjoy the taste of something for what it is, and not because of some fancy label or what we believe it to be. And per an earlier video on food access, not everyone has the means to purchase these types of foods. But for those who can, and those who care about whether what they're buying is the real deal, certain foods are expensive for a reason. It's because producers spend a lot of time and effort adhering to rigorous standards and best practices to create the highest quality product. These foods typically have long histories and strong cultural significance, and purchasing them is a part of respecting that history and supporting those producers. For those that are interested in doing so, I would recommend some basic research on your key staples. In general, buying whole and unprocessed foods when possible is very helpful. For example, whole spices instead of ground spices, or wedges of cheese instead of grated cheese. Buying from transparent and traceable brands can also be helpful. Buying from transparent and traceable brands can also be a way, especially ones that advertise single origin or estate products. And finally, if a price seems too good to be true, it probably is. How important is it to you to invest in high quality and authentic ingredients? I'd be interested to learn more in the comments. As usual, the recipe for mushroom risotto is in the description. It would be perfect for your next date night or a cozy treat for yourself. If you like my content, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.